everybody. Good evening. Good evening. I am going to let my husband talk first because I don't want anybody to think this was my idea.
It was your idea. It was 100% my wife's idea to come on tonight. How's everyone doing tonight? Want to say hello. Just shot one of the a great episode. One of the episodes of the Pulpit View. It was a phenomenal episode. Want to thank everyone that tuned in for that tonight. And we're here tonight. Just spend a couple minutes with y'all before we shut it down for the day.
Yeah.
Baby, it's on you.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Instagram ladies. Good evening. Yolanda, everybody. So good to see you all. This evening, I have a special guest. I was going to go live anyway. And I want to say it has been forever since we've done a live together. He has started a podcast, video podcast of sorts for pastoral brothers who are balancing, doing all the things. And of course, you guys know what we've been doing over here in this sphere. And so tonight I came out and I said, baby, you want to do my live with me tonight?
Remember what I said?
You want to do my live with me tonight? Because he's always doing a live and then we don't always do it together. And so this evening, we're going to talk about teamwork. Yes, it's late for you old folks. We're still kind of young. Just kidding. But yeah, it's late for us too, usually. I have my blanket on the couch and I am assuming the position. Okay? Don't laugh that hard. I'll be out like legit. Okay, so I guess I'll start because yesterday, and those who follow me on Instagram know this because that's all the posting I was doing over the weekend. Hi, Tracy. I did a post for my daughter, right? And I was saying that this is a lesson that she said her eyes are tired. You understand? I did a post yesterday about for my daughter if she's in the presence of a man who says that he values her and respects her, that he should pump her gas, right? He should pump her gas. This is something that is so small to me, like in my mind, but y'all, I don't think I've ever had a post get liked so quickly or for the comment section to light up like it did. Like I was literally bewildered because, there were women, of course, who were like, yes, I agree. Then there were actually some men that commented on the post and were like, I wouldn't want a woman who needs somebody to do everything for her, like all this stuff. So then it opened up a conversation about gender roles.
Mm-hmm. I saw a couple of women on there that were talking about how they were like, well, I don't want to have to need a man for that. And I think it's dumb, but I'll let my wife. I'm very cynical when it comes to some of these gender role issues, and my wife will tell y'all my nickname in the house begins with an A, ends with a hole, so you can y'all can take it from there where that goes. But when it comes to these gender roles, I really have an issue with people that have a problem doing what they're supposed to do on their end. And I know that is a touchy subject. I'm not supposed to do nothing, or they want independence, so I let them have it. Y'all keep that mess. My wife is not about to be out here pumping the gas and I'm in the car. One of the issues, I'll tell y'all this: when I got hit by a car in 2016, Christina will tell you, because that was the first time my boys actually start pumping the gas. We'd be in the car together and she'd get out to pump the gas. And I say, you're not about to pump no gas. And I'm in the car. And
it just don't look right.
Like, it just doesn't look right. And so she was like, baby, you just got hit by a car. I got two boys though. Listen, I'm gonna limp out here and they're going to figure out how to pump the gas. I'm going to have some supervision. And they did it, because the reality is, I talked about it today. Teamwork makes the dream work. Somehow, I don't know where we got caught up in society to believe. I don't know where we got caught up in society to believe somehow that as a man I can do it by myself. As a woman, you can do it by yourself. I didn't say, well, let me not say it that way. As a man, I should do it by myself. As a woman, I should do it by myself. The reality is, she is a phenomenal woman. In a lot of ways, she is way smarter than me. She is very capable, but she shouldn't have to. As a husband, I shouldn't have to. There are just things that, why get with somebody if your life is the same? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Like, let's just talk practical. Why? And if any of us been in college, you know what it was like to have teammates on a project, and you the only one doing the work. What's the point? Like, what's the point? And so it blew up. I'm talking about the post blew up just because she said if they care about you, they shouldn't be out there letting you pump the gas by yourself. It blew up, y'all. I just blew my mind.
I think, and I'll be transparent. There are days, and it's hard for me to teach my daughter sometimes. It's good over Instagram. Hard for me to teach my daughter sometimes because I do want her to be strong. I do want her to have some facets of independence or quote unquote or whatever, strong and capable, all these things. But if a man actually says that he respects you, like I don't think I ever had a male friend in college who would not think of me in that way. You know what I mean? I ain't had no car, but you get my drift. Like they actually had respect for me and talked to me like they respected me. He was no different, And one of the ways I knew
I
that
was different.
I meant you respected me.
I'm talking about I was a higher level of respect, but that's a whole nother subject. Go ahead.
So anyway, the moral of the story is, being around, like a lot of times we attract what we expect. And so, because I think someplace we let standards go over the course of time, we end up struggling with what to receive, what to tolerate for these exact reasons. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. What
Go ahead. I was going to say, one of the things that I want to be very sensitive to, not everyone has a two-parent household. So I'm not talking to the woman or the man that has to grind on your own. I'm talking about the people who have made a solid commitment to go into this thing together. My daughter, here's the sad part. My daughter, as long as I'm living, will never truly know what complete independence is like. True. She, as a good daughter, never really knew totally what complete, my little sister never really understood. That's not saying she did not pay some bills. That does not mean she didn't have some problem, but there is like this safety net that certain people, when you are loved, you just know you have. Me and my little sister were talking one day. I said, there's a level of you're willing to step out because you have your big sister, your brother-in-law, and me. I said, I'm only going to get so far out there before y'all are going to say, hey, we care about you. We love you. My daughter, one of the biggest testaments of this is, as a baby, you watch your child. Watch your child. Every single one of my children do the leap of death. That's what I call it. They will jump off something when I'm close by, knowing they're going to be caught. I've not let one of them fall yet. My daughter does it. My boys do it. All of them do it. Here it is. There's a level, and that's the way we are. America's the only society, for real, that believes that once you get to 18, you kick them out the house. They don't need to be around there no more. They're supposed to be taking care of you. All these other countries, they will rock with you, and you have a strong core for a long while. So yeah, I think so. I don't want to make it seem like because you are single, because I think you still have a community, but your community might not be the traditional community. Your community might be coaches. Your community might be just other strong men that have been around you that teach your boys or your daughters how a man should treat a woman. Me and my wife, and I will get to the rest of it. When we were dating, when we were just friends, there was a level of treatment that she received from me that was just above par because she was a very close friend. We weren't, there was no friends with benefits, none of that. It was, she was a friend and she knew if I call Stephen, he's going to show up. And there's just a level of some people that expectation should be there. But go ahead, babe. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, so here's a thought about what do you think what do you think happens in some people's lives that keeps them from being okay with having certain gender roles? Like, for example, and I mean, maybe not in the oppressive traditional way, because, there's some people, they're like, the wife does all the cooking.
Yeah.
You hear me? I don't care what she got to do, all the cooking, but they leave off the component of, okay, but that wife was a stay-at-home wife. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, yes, is what women did, but here's why.
Yeah.
You know? So and I know we have, I'm not sure how many, if you're like a ministry family, wave at us in the comments and maybe you check your phone.
Yeah, just let us know.
I don't think the group shows up all the time. But depending on what your path is, like, what do you think some of the things are that keep us from being okay with walking in that avenue? I know for women, a lot of us feel like we got to do all the things, and it's not fair. It's slanted.
I'm going to tell you, it's the same. It is the same. Both are the same. Men feel the exact same way, and I think it's fear. It is fear. Nobody really wants to give their self fully over to something and not. There's a saying that I say, and you know it. Love is the ability to be hurt. Mm-hmm. The reality is most folk don't want to accept any form of role because it allows me to be played, and nobody likes feeling like they're getting played. But the truth of the matter is, men feel the same type of pressure. Me and my wife had a conversation some years ago, and we were just talking. For her, it was, babe, the shoes being left on the floor. It was a thing for her. So one day I came in, I said, listen, I don't say nothing about the lights. And at the time, she was a fully stay-at-home mom. I'm like, I'm not about to be over here, this light on, this light on, this light on. I'm not about to go do that. But I pay the light bill. Here's the reality. We both have flaws. I'm not saying she's wrong for saying you should pick up your shoes. I'm a grown man. I can pick up my shoes. I'm not saying she's wrong for that. I'm saying we both have flaws and we can be understanding. But a lot of times when we look at gender roles, it's only one side that is it seemed to be understanding. There was a conversation that they had, and I'm not trying to get into this whole Lizzo Aries Spears, even though I got my Aries Spears hat on tonight because I hadn't cut my hair tonight, but I'm not trying to get into that whole thing. So there was this whole conversation, y'all, on a podcast that I just saw a clip of. I don't even subscribe to the podcast, but I saw the clip of, and they were talking about how several of the women that were getting on, like celebrity women that were getting on some people who made comments about Lizzo were also women that had made comments about 50 Cent when it came to the Super Bowl. And the guy was like, do you not see the hypocrisy? And so one woman said, well, listen, and she tried to fix it. And he said, no, it's hypocrisy across the board. What I'm saying is a lot of times we don't want to take gender roles, and it sounds like I'm going around the bend, but I want to make it clear. We don't want to accept gender roles because we want certain things without taking the responsibilities that come with it. That's men and women included. Men want a stay-at-home wife that's going to cook every night, going to make sure that I do all that stuff, but they don't want to share. They don't want to help and share the load. So here's the deal. I tell anybody, I don't understand. This is going to sound funny, but I'll never understand this whole little polygamy movement, right? Here's the reason why. While we were in school, I had a sister down here, a niece, my daughter, my wife, And I was sending money to help my mother-in-law at the time and my mom. Mind you, all these women can call me and ask me for anything, know it's going to happen. There is no possible way I want that responsibility on a regular day basis. This girl right here is spoiled, and rightfully so. She deserves it. I don't have it in me to do it for a bunch of different women. There's what's the guy? It might be Ash Cash, but there's a guy. He was talking about how he
poured. No, it was him 500.
Him 500. He was talking about how he poured out on his wife when they first got married. He said, "I don't have it in me to do that for every single woman." He said, "I have to be committed to one woman." Here's the reality. Some of us, we want these things, but we don't want to put out what it takes to have it. Something my big brother said to me years ago, and I still live by it. He said, "Stephen, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. You got to put yourself in a position that if you want certain things in your household, your wife can look and expect those things from you." My wife told me before I stepped away from the shop, these words I celebrate her for forever. She said, "Here's the reason you can step away from the shop, babe." She said, and go and pursue these dreams. She said, "Here it is." She said, "Because I would sleep out I'd sleep out in a cardboard box with you, but because your character and your love for your family, I know I would never have to." She was like, "You've never taken us lower. You've always taken us higher." There's an expectation she has from me. So some of these gender roles is not really submission. And I think that's a fear. Yeah. I think it's a fear, but I think it's on both sides. Some guys don't want to feel like they're getting played. You stand at home all day and you using up all my cash. Then I come home, food ain't done. You talking about how you tired. I remember one guy told me, no lie, in the barbershop, his girl stayed home. They got 2 kids. Both of them go to school. He said, "Stephen, almost every night this week we've eaten out." He said, "I'm the one who picked the kids up."
What was you doing?
What were you doing all day? He was like, "Steve, I just don't understand it." Because we were talking about how my wife stayed home. And one day, one of those days, my wife brought me food up to the shop. He said, "Stephen, they don't make them like that no more." He said, "My girl stay home." He made good money too. He an engineer. Like, he made good money. He's like, "Man, I'm the one picking up the kids." So I pick them up on my way home from work. They stayed in Auburn. He said, "And here it is." He said, "I still couldn't get no food at home." And here's the reality. That's a fear for some men. I don't want to be head honcho because I know I'm about to get played. And so I think it's fear on both sides. I think that's the reason people don't want to do it, because there's a fear of, I feel like I'm going to get paid. If I'm at home cooking and cleaning, he's out and he might be messing with some other woman. I'm going to give all of this out, and then I'm going to get played. If I'm at work doing all of this and she has all this time on her hand, even though anybody that's a single mom, anybody that's a working mom, anybody that's a stay-at-home mom, any dad that's ever had to spend just a full day with their kids understand that being a stay-at-home mom with children is no joke. And you don't have that time, that free time you think you have. Mm-hmm. But they just feel like they don't want to get played. That's my personal.
And I'll add to that, like, there was a woman that commented on the should men pump gas post or 2 posts. And she was talking about how she was single until she was 38, right? So I was single till I was 38. I can't remember if she said she was a single mom or not. She said, but I had to learn how to adjust my independence because I was so used to doing everything for myself, so used to being capable and being the strong one and all this stuff. I was so used to this that that once he came into my life and told me that I could take the day off, so to speak, I could release, being able to do all the things and handle all the business. Once I realized I was able to do that, I could take off my independent, phenomenal woman hat, the superwoman cape, whatever you want to call it, and give him the opportunity to step in and love me in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it definitely takes a load of a lot of security and working through the process and things, because we can end up feeling stuck, right? We can end up feeling like, I'm confined to this particular place or this relationship, and what happened before is going to happen again.
Here's the key, though. Submission in whole is, on both parts, is willingness and surrendering not to the partner, but to allowing somebody to love you properly. And I think we have a hard time with that. There was a post this I told you about the other day here. Young woman, she said, women, I really think men submit a lot more than women do. And her point was, she said, they deal with this. They're on our TikTok videos. They're on this. They'll come and do this for us. They'll bring this home. They'll go shopping for our knickknacks that we need. She was like, they'll do a lot for us that if a man loves you, that he just takes on that place. But it's a point where you say, hey, I am going to willingly give over this to you. I'm not going to carry this load no more. I was talking to, and I think he's watching this live right now, Pastor Jamal Browder, when we were on our live. And I said, it was when I ended up with my wife that I started taking time away and I stopped becoming such a workaholic. It did not go away, but it took part of me surrendering and trusting her enough to say, hey, you might know a little bit better in this area than me. And I think that's a struggle for people when it comes to gender roles. It is hard to, there's a saying that has come out recently. I should not need a man. I should want the man. Why doesn't he feel more comfortable with me wanting him than needing him? Because if I need him, that once I don't need him, I'm like, listen, that sounds dumb. And here's why it sounds dumb, okay? I'm about to, just hear me out. Hear me out, or y'all cancel. Here's why it sounds dumb to me. If I feel like I need to be needed, that's what I feel. Just like I don't have a right to tell you how you feel about an emotional state. As a man, if I feel I need to be needed, that lets me know that you're saying, hey, I can do it, but I need you to do it. My wife, the biggest thing for me with me and my wife is on those days where she's like, babe, and she's trying to hop up on something. She says, I married someone tall for a reason. Babe, I need you to get this. And it's a simple thing, but it reminds me that there's value that she's placed. And whether it's someone saying want it or need it, it is okay to give in. One of my favorite comments, what was the lady that you heard? She said, most people get married till death do us part, but nobody gets married to die. And the reality is,
I'm gonna tag her.
And here it is. The reality is, when we're in a relationship, gender, whatever you're talking about, it's teamwork.
Yeah.
I do not get to decide. Why get with somebody if you're the only one that can have all the answers? And if it has to be your way all the time. One of the best things about leadership, here it is. One of the best things about leadership is learning other people have strong points that you don't have.
Yeah.
It's so phenomenal. My wife, I'm about to tell y'all something.
This is about math.
No.
Oh.
It's your strong point.
Okay.
My master's has been accomplishable, whether that's a word or not.
Maybe.
Because of her. I cannot, man, she can type like 100 words a minute. I'm talking about she just be going, right? Me, I like writing. My wife can type. When I get this stuff done, she goes to work for me. When she has a new idea, I'm the one who helps her to formalize that idea and put it into a framework that she can work it, because that's my gift. With us together, it works. And we've seen that because our son recently, he's in a new aspect of high school, and there's some places where he's having some difficulty. Well, my wife has done most of the homeschooling she's done 99.9% of the homeschooling, for real, y'all, up until this point. I'm at home now. I'm seeing certain things. I'm like, babe, let me take this over. I'll take this weight off.
What's tough. Our oldest son, he's in a homeschool program for high schoolers. And then I'm trying to check the math, and I'm like, he's looking at me like, what's the answer? I'm looking back. Like, I don't know. Like, I need an answer, So because my husband is better at that than I am, it's been a wonderful relief to be able to, after my son learns, that he can come home and work through it with dad, and dad is the right amount of challenge and pressure. Because I'm just like, what you mean 2 + 2 is 7? Like, pop, and I'm ready to I don't understand. So I'm grateful, to be able to for us to collaborate in that way and to be okay with it. So many times I have found that marriages across the board, and I was sharing this on the summit interview I did earlier, about a lot of times, and y'all hear me good. A lot of times I see a direct correlation with couples becoming more successful to divorce. Okay. And I'm not
understand. There's nothing wrong with success.
Nothing wrong with success. And listen, if you two mutually agree, y'all like, listen, this is what we're doing, and you decide that y'all are gonna go, y'all both grown, you're both autonomous, you can do whatever you want to do, right? But I think that there's a place where that's not what we want. Right? We still love the other person. We believe that that person has a heart towards us, a heart for family. But somewhere up in this mix, when you start to get more years of marriage on deck, when the husband starts succeeding, especially if you're in ministry, I think I saw a couple hands for those who are in ministry watching. Y'all are trying to keep your marriage together. Y'all trying to work in ministry. You're trying to raise your children. You're trying to pursue your own separate dreams. And something happens. There's a schism that develops in between here where we start to split further apart, almost as if, it is. Almost as if, okay, well, you don't support me. Well, you don't support me. Well, what is it that you want from me? I want this. But I feel like, and then it just begins to cause a greater and greater divide. And the reason I'm calling it out loud is so we're mindful of it.
Here's something I heard. I was listening to a pastor the other day, and he said something so phenomenal. It blessed me, y'all. He said it was him in the marriage, that it wasn't infidelity. He said he started growing to the point because his wife started attaining success. He was a successful pastor. It wasn't a lack of success on his end. It wasn't jealousy on his end. It was the fact that he saw a divide developing, and he starts seeing his wife move away from wanting, because she started getting that independence again. She started developing that new her. And so one day he said, he didn't tell me this, but he was on the interview saying this. He said, I canceled all my meetings. He said, I called her people. I canceled all her meetings. He said, I locked the door in the house. He said, and I said, we're not leaving until we fix this. He said, and here's the whole reason. He said, I had to find her again. He said, but I was unwilling to let her go. And here's what we will do a lot of times. We'll get to the level of success. And once we get to that level of success, we'll feel like it is great out here. But Sinbad said something phenomenal. The comedian Sinbad said, listen, y'all can keep that mess. You need somebody that can tell when you having a stroke. right? You need somebody that can tell when stuff is not right with you. You need somebody that can grow old with you. They know you. They learn you. Man, it's something different when you got years under your belt. It's something different when you actually go and want to learn that person. Because here it is. You will never build a kingdom by continually yelling defeat. I'll say that again for somebody that might need to hear. You will never build a kingdom by continually yelling defeat. I did not say stay in a broken marriage. I didn't say
he knocking you upside the head.
That's not
or
what I'm
she
saying.
knocking you upside the head because some of y'all crazy.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if the only issue we have is you want to go back to school, we can figure out how to work that out. If the issue you have is you're tired of being a stay-at-home mom, man, listen. Christina came to me one day, and now mind you, she's the one that came to me and said, "Babe, when I have this kid," this was Steven. She was like, I know I want to leave. I want to try this stay-at-home mom thing out. Then after Steven came, it worked a little bit.
Not as fun as I thought.
But them twins came. She was like, I'm not about this stay-at-home mom life. She was like, I got to figure something out. And see, me, because I wanted our marriage more than I wanted anything else, I was like, oh, we can send these kids to school. Like, that's as quick. She said, no, that's not what the Lord is telling me. But I know I need something different.
Yeah.
I need to be who I am. And when we finally understood, it didn't mean once she told me that I knew exactly what to do. It didn't mean none of that. But what it did mean was we started a process of helping her discover what her purpose was. And when she discovered her purpose, I fully backed her. But what helped with that was I understood the end goal was for us, not for, here it is, not just for her success, not just for my comfort, but for us. At the end of the day, you have to know your end goal. You got to know the end goal. My end goal is to die. If y'all ever seen the movie Love Notebook, my end goal is to die in a nursing home or in our retirement home in Florida together, laying in the bed. That's my end goal. I told the Lord, there's only two ways if you give me a choice, let me preach a great revival. Thousands of folks saved. You take me home at a ripe old age. Or let me be retired, enjoying myself with my wife. I lay my head down. We go on ahead to glory, either which way. It doesn't matter. That's our end goal. Our end goal is not, we have not even allowed that D word to come up in our marriage for that purpose.
Yeah. And it don't mean that we never don't like each other.
Yeah.
You know, but I think I want to say that there are seasons to this thing because I'm not sure. And if you like, since you guys are talking back to us on this evening, tell us, are you engaged, right? Are you married? If you're married, how long have you been married? And the reason I'm saying that is because I think it was Michelle, his sister, that talked to me about how there are seasons to marriage. You know, like you make it through that first year, you get to know each other, then you get to year 5, right? And you're like, dang, your breathing is so annoying.
You still here?
So somebody out there is like getting close to that, right? Tracy, one of my clients, she's married 9 years. You know, you get to like that year 5, it's like,
why are you still here?
You were just stale, you know, and you got to make it past the hump. And then you make it to year 10, right? And you get a little bit of skin in the game. You're like, okay, we got kids. Like, we're trying to manage these things and make it happen. You hit year 15, right? And then year 20 is like, baby, you go into a whole nother season because now your kids are you know, grown-ish. You know, you're now sending children off to college and you're rediscovering who you are as a person and who you guys are to each other, okay? So, model mompreneur, do me a favor, tell me your name again, because I know it, but tell me again. They've been married 2 years, together for 6, okay? Tracy, they've been married 9 years. Whoever else is watching, feel free to share how long you've been married. We've been married 16 years now, this past August. Yeah. So we're kind of in the middle
Together
of
17.
yeah, we're past 10 years where we found the groove, and now we're inching towards the 20 where we're gonna send a kid off to school. Because he's 14. So we're just finding our way as well. But all of these are learning experiences, growing experiences where we can ask ourselves, and I talk, for everybody who's a mamathon, right? Nicole, hey, everybody who's a mamathon, y'all know that we talk a lot about the family vision, right? And that's exactly what my husband was saying was, what's the big picture of all of this? Like, why are we doing this? Sometimes we start businesses and climb the corporate ladder and do all these things for these particular reasons. And then we wake up and realize that what we're working on is now out of alignment with what we said was most important.
And I'm gonna tell you something.
Keep talking. I'm gonna check the comments.
I was looking at something the other day that messed me up, right? And this is where this whole teamwork makes the dream work came in. It's out of Ecclesiastes. It says two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. I'm saying that to say this, y'all. This is what I'm saying. Most of us, the reason that, and I'm not, hear me, most of us get in fights for dumb reasons that end in divorce.
Yeah.
We get into the dumbest things, and we are more willing to be right than we are to actually be successful in the journey. It's like that pride thing is a jacked up thing, y'all, because it will set you up in a place where you have gotten to a point where I have to be right about it. I have to be the one that gets the apology. Instead of maybe this is the role I need to play. Shoot, last night I went and helped my wife with dinner. Tonight I cooked dinner. I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, it's not, the whole gender role thing is a moot point because you're going to play a role regardless if you choose to or not. The whole gender role is a moot point. You're going to play a role regardless if you choose to or not. The problem is most of us are so stuck on wanting to be right that we don't even recognize we're playing a role. Your role might not be a good role, though. Your role might be a divisive role. Your role might be one that keeps bringing up problems. He's trying, but somehow every time he tries, it gets up under your skin. She keeps trying to do a little bit better, but she ain't cooked not one dish you like yet. Whatever it is, your role, there's a deal. I like my white shirts done a certain way. I really don't ask my wife to do my white shirts. I don't. I just don't. I don't care about, she washes. She's the majority washer in the house. But my white shirts, I take care of them. You want to know why? Because I'm not about to sit here and complain and say, hey, babe, could you do this? Can you do this? Christina, why don't you do this? Babe, do this. I'm just going to pick up the whites, put some Clorox in there, and do it myself. Me and my wife always talk. If you don't like the way they fold clothes, then do it yourself. If you don't want to do it yourself, stop complaining about the way they did it. It's that simple. It is really that simple. Losing the pride and saying, I'm going to get over it for winning the war.
Yeah.
I'll lose this battle to win the war. And I tell any guy, I told some of the guys, and I got some folk that know I'm a preacher on here, but I'm honest. Told some guys the other day here who was talking to me and telling me, man, Steve, it's getting kind of, I'm at a drought in my house. I said, so what's going on? They kept telling me. I said, well, what have you been doing to kind of initiate to move out that drought? He said, man, Steve, she got time for everything else. Man, I don't want to feel like doing anything. I said, well, stay in the drought. Like at the end of the day, If she's telling you, I need you to do this, and you are trying to move to a place of betterment, then the best thing you can do is lose the battle to win the war. It's being cunning. You got to stop playing checkers and start playing chess in marriage. And many of us, I think we are so stuck on gender roles. We're so stuck on what a man can do, what a woman can do, what they can't do. Here's the reality. I have not been able, last time I checked, I don't want to try it. I don't even want to see if it's possible. But I have not been able to carry a child ever. Like outside of carrying them from one room to another. Like that's the level. That's her role. She's the one who gives birth into our family. And in the same breath, there are certain things that she is unable to do that I can do. There are certain things that when I'm moving stuff in the house, you like, babe, I don't know how you move that, babe. I need you to do this. It's just the move that we play to say, hey, you're valuable, you're necessary, and I'm grateful that you're in our life. That's all we do, and I think that's what we got to get over if we want to get over these gender roles.
I think, and I feel like there's a part where we're not humble anymore.
Yeah.
We're not humble, where we now feel like it's a problem to need. We now feel like it's a problem to need another person, to be reliant on another person to fulfill their role in our life. I don't work with men, right? I work with a lot of women. And so I know for us as women, sometimes, a lot of times they don't do things like we do them. So we want to usurp whatever it is they desire to do. There may be days where we feel like I'm still equally as capable or whatever. So I want to go around how you might think things need to be done, or my way is the right way, and all this kind of stuff. And ultimately, does it help to build up the family as a whole? Is it benefiting you? Like I've had one of my ladies who was on a live this months ago. And she was like, yeah, I was telling my family the other day, everything revolves around, what I do here and all this other stuff. And I give 100%. And I'm making everything happen. And I was like, well, how is that working out for you? Like, how is this helping you now in this moment that you're here in the comment section, complaining about how this is not working, how you're tired of being the sole whatever, And then they still want to, Tracy, they still want to stick with it.
I love Tracy and these emojis.
Tracy's, that's my girl. We meet tomorrow. So, it's like there's such a place of needing to be able to let go of the reins and say, okay, I'm going to allow you to love me, to support me. It may not be the way that I would do it, but who cares as long as I don't have to do it, and just being so grateful for that. So there were multiple times today where he was doing math with the boy, and I was like, thank you. And then he cooked, and I was doing other things. Thank you so much. And I was still moving around him and cleaning, but it was such a wonderful collaboration to have his help and support, because a lot of days he wasn't coming home until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, which some nights it still may be the case, but it was just so great to have him there in that moment. And I had to make sure that I was showing my verbally expressing my communication, verbally expressing my appreciation, for what he was doing in that moment.
And I'll tell y'all, one of the struggles with humility and humbling ourselves is that it's the reality that we're human. And a lot of us want to be Superman or Superwoman. I had a conversation with a guy the other day here, and this is I guess a little bit of inside information for men. Most men will allow you, after you tell us you don't want the help, that you don't want the help. And so if you might not physically say it, but we watch actions more than anything, right? And so if you say, hey, every time I try to do something, I got this, at some point they're going to stop trying to do it. Not saying that's what they should do. I'm just saying that's the nature. Just like a lot of my sisters will say, hey, if you don't do it when I tell you, when I ask you to do it, I'll just do it myself. And that independent mind clicks back on.
A whole conversation you're having only in your own mind. Nobody else knows about this.
You're like, oh, if he don't want to do it, I'll do it. And
fine, you talking to us, it's all in here.
And so it is a key of saying, hey, how do we work together? And I admit that I need you and you need me. I tell most married couples that I counsel, never forget the main feeling you felt when you told yourself you had the audacity to ask her, knowing she had credit problems, knowing what her hair looked like after the weave was out, knowing what the makeup looked like after it's off. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. What in the world made you say yes? Knowing that Negro didn't take a shower every time he got done hooping. Every time he came home, he put his gym bag right there on the floor.
You saw it all this time.
You saw it all this time. He been messy all this time.
All this time.
He ain't cooked a thing the whole time y'all were together. And you still said yes. Whatever was in your spirit then that made you so deeply in love that you said none of these flaws. The Bible says love covers a multitude of sins. Mm-hmm. Whatever it was that made you say, oh, this is not that big of a deal. He's the one, she's the one. I'm retiring the jersey. I'm putting the black book in the stacks. I'm done with this. Whatever you did with that, I need you to hold on to that. Need you to hold on to that and keep that. Because here's the reality. There's going to be always something that throws up. That's just the way life happens. One of my good friends, Donald, he said something today on his post. He said, life has been lifing today. I'm just telling somebody. In marriage, life has a way of lifing. It throws some things that you do not expect. It throws some things that you don't like. You're going to discover, and here it is. Women are always going to change, and men are changing. The problem is we just got to figure out how to change together. We got to figure out how to change together. You want certain things different that you didn't want before, and you like, man, I feel like I outgrown them. And he's over there like, man, I don't want to be bothered with her either. And y'all got to figure out how to bring that together and be humble enough to say, hey, it's not clicking right now, but we need it to click. And I think, going back to our original statement, all of that stemmed from the whole gender role conversation stemmed from, I was pulling up to the gas station to get gas for our van. My wife had our mother-in-law's car. And I told my oldest son to get out the car and pump my mother-in-law's car and fill her tank up. And then I told my other son, the son right up under him, to pump the gas while I was in the gas station getting my wife some coffee. At no point until she got the camera out to do the post did she have to get out the car. She sat in the car peacefully. And we always have the joke when it's storming about
every woman want to be independent till it's time to pump gas in the rain. Right.
Listen, and here it is.
You don't even play like you're getting out.
She doesn't look. And she did a reply to a lot of these comments that they were having, because I was telling her the other day, I'm getting out the car. I'm in Auburn. I'm doing some work in Auburn, and I'm getting out the car to go pump some gas. I'm walking back. Two young ladies one has just walked into the gas station. One is pumping. I'm thinking these are two friends that are hanging out for the day, and they're pumping and one of them pumping the gas, other one. Tell me why I see some lazy dude in the side seat. And I got to tell y'all, I don't give a rat's tail about anybody talking about, well, they want this, they want this. You can have whatever you want. But as for me in my house, we about to go and pump this gas. I'm seeing him scrolling through his phone as his girl, it's raining, and his girl is out pumping the gas. Even if it's not his girl.
It's a girl.
It's someone
a female,
that's
a woman
that's driving the car that he's a passenger in. I'll say it again. I just look at him and I shake my head and I go to pump my gas. He looked back at me and I shake my head again. He's a small frame dude, so he ain't really trying to start nothing with me. I mean, I'm somewhat of a big dude still. So he look at me and stare at me and I just shake my head and I go pump my gas. I'm in my suit pumping my gas. I'm looking at this guy. I'm just like, why? Like, you could at least say, babe, it's raining. I'm gonna run in to the gas station so your girl don't get wet. I have an issue with that. And here's the reason I have an issue. I have a daughter. And I'll say this. And I'll stop on, I'll get off my little door, my soapbox. I have a daughter. My daughter can cook her butt off. She got a little bit of attitude, but she's the sweetest thing in the world. She will take care of your butt. Like, she is a sweetheart. She's turning from a girl into a young lady. One day, she's gonna be a grown woman that can cook her butt off. She knows how to take care of her daddy. So she'll know how to take care of her one-day husband. I cannot afford to have some bums coming up into my house. My niece asked me one day that she was talking to this young boy. I just did not like him. I did not like him. I won't go into the whole story, but I did not like him, right? And so he said, Uncle, why don't you trust us and our decisions? I said, it has nothing to do with your decisions or me trusting you. I said, a lot of times it's viewed as your uncle does not trust you. I said, when the reality is, I said, y'all are the most precious thing your uncle has outside of my daughter and my wife. I said, who do you know that gives their priceless things over to somebody willingly without making them prove that they're deserving of it? She said, I guess, Uncle. I said, all I'm saying is, listen, I'm not about to go curse this boy out. I'm not about to make him fight for your love and affection. But I am going to ask you what your plans are. Why? Because you have value. My niece throws down in the kitchen. She's gorgeous, beautiful young lady. How dare I let some little random knucklehead think he's just about to come up in here and just treat her any old kind of way? And so there's a level to this thing. My daughter has to see her brothers pumping their mother's gas. She has to see her dad. My niece doesn't pump her gas if I'm with her. Mm-hmm. And if she does, it's because I'm going in to put money in the gas tank. That's just what it is.
Yeah. So, and then I also want to emphasize that in the post simultaneously, I put in that it goes both ways, So my boys, son and daughter, can see their mom loving their dad in certain ways, respecting him, honoring him, speaking well of him, right? All those things, treating them well, all that stuff, they can see that. And then simultaneously, they also see their dad, loving on their mom well. And those things need to go hand in hand. A lot of times we lean on what men need to do. And then a lot of times we lean on what women need to do. And we never think about how do we come together to create a support system that works and flows together. Yeah. Okay. So it's been about an hour.
Yeah.
Finishing words and call to action.
Hey, here it is. If you are with someone, I'm talking about y'all are committed to this thing. love them through it, whatever it is. Don't be so prideful to feel like you can't lower yourself to do what's needed for them. I'll tell anybody. Um, my wife, when she first had her first surgery, after the child, anything she needed. I remember we were getting kicked out of our house at the time. And I won't say kicked out. We were. It was a whole situation. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't. Yeah, we weren't evicted. It just wasn't a good situation, right? Um, but she was going through this process, and I would just remember making sure everything was good for her. I was like, man, I'd do this for her anytime. But I never thought she'd have to do it for me, right? And so when I got hit by the car, all of that she did for me, that I did for her, she had to return and do for me plus some. Here it is. She was able to step into that role. If they were worth you saying, I want to spend the rest of my life together, they're worth you fighting through it, humbling yourself, taking on a role that you may not like in that season, doing something you may not want to do in this season, just to make sure that it's successful. Because life is going to be lifing. And when it's lifing, you want to give up. And that's the time you got to really put in the work. Go on.
Yeah, I think it's Grant Cardone that says when everybody else is regressing and retreating, you put in 10x, 10 times the effort, 10 times the work, 10 times the decision making, 10 times the expansion, right? In order to make sure that you make it through to the other side. And so the same rules go for when you're operating in a family, in a marriage. It's like, okay, wait a second. We have a whole lot of stuff going on. We have a lot of moving pieces. We have family and marriage and ministry and work and all these things. So now we need to 10x our effort to stay together. Okay. And so we hope this live blessed you guys tonight. If you are a gentleman in ministry, you can find, I tag
Pulpit.
Yes, the Pulpit View. I tag the Facebook group here in this post. Also, if you are an ambitious woman on the move who is working to balance and navigate multiple facets of your life, family, home management, marriage, business, you're an entrepreneur or working in corporate, I am thrilled to support you guys as your coach. So I drop information for the Mamathon, for the Mamathon conference in details as well. If you're a minister, pastor, you married or seriously dating, send your woman. You hear me? Send her. Like, she needs to come and hang out with us.
I'm no longer there like I was, and I got to tell y'all though, it is one of the best times for men to allow their wives to go away and be refueled. They come back better. Do you hear me? They come back better. I've seen it with my own eyes. These ladies coming back stronger, better. And here's the key. They leave the mother of your children. They come back your wife. And most of us, we don't have a problem with our wives. We have a problem with the woman she's become. She goes back to being your girl. That's just a different feeling when you can rock with your girl again.
So we would love to have you guys October 28th through the 30th in Atlanta. Grab a girlfriend or send your woman to come and fellowship with us. Give her the Sunday off. And that's for those who are ministers or pastors or whatever. Give her the Sunday off. She needs to breathe. She wants to be left alone. You probably want to be left alone. It's a win-win. Okay. So all of that. And then, so I had the Mamathon conference, Pulpit View Facebook group. And then lastly, if we can support you through any coaching, we are here to help and support. My husband is like, but I'm like, he is the most dynamic thing. Like, I don't know anybody who's better at helping people with strategic plan. He does it for me all the time. helping folks strategic plan and balance ministry and family. So yeah, we're those people. So love you guys. Thank y'all for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank y'all for joining us.
Catch you guys later.
Peace.